Hey, Shalom, Shalom. It's your brother Elijah. Today we're gonna get into some history. Um, so get your notepads, get your laptop, phone, whatever you need to search this history up. Uh, I probably won't use any Bible verses. At most, I might use like 1 or 2 Bible verses, but this is gonna be strictly a history lesson, right? And I'm gonna actually probably break this up into parts because I can only squeeze in, a few books that I have on my laptop. And if I did it in the whole video, to be honest, it might be like 5, 6 hours long. So we can consider this part 1. And this is going to be strictly dealing with who we'll know as Southern Kingdom. I'm going to do one on Northern Kingdom, of course, too. But let's start with Southern Kingdom, and we're going to deal with who we call the Jews, right? Because we believe we are the Jews, right? Judah, Benjamin, Levi would mostly make up who you call the Negroes. So we're going to get straight into that. And I'm going to show you some history on this, just to prove to you who we are, right? Just to prove to you. Make that sure that's sharing right. Okay, there we go. All right. So this first book is called The History of the Jews to the Present Time, right? By Hannah Adams. You can look up who Hannah Adams is on your own time. You can look up her credentials, right? For all the books that I'm going to pull out through this lesson, there's not a single book that's made by a so-called Hebrew Israelite, or like Christians like to say, Black Hebrew Israelite. This ain't nothing we came up with. This ain't nothing that we wrote. This is something that your people wrote, right? Some of these people are Christians. Some of these people are Jewish, right? So it's not nothing we made up, all right? So the history of the Jews to the present times. Let's see what page this is. This is page 367, all right? And I want to look at this bottom portion just to show you something. It says the Spanish and Portuguese Jews claim their descent from the tribe of Judah and found these pretensions on the suspicion which prevails among them that many of their ancestors removed. And then it continues on to the next page. But I want to show you something about this. And I'm going to show you who the so-called Portuguese Jews is in another source, right? It's going to back this source up. But if you look at this little bottom section, I hope y'all can see this. Look what this little bottom section says. It appears that the Jews have no accurate deduction of their descent or genealogy. They suppose that they are in general of the tribe of Judah and Benjamin, with some among them of the tribe of Levi. Now, that's a cut. Because y'all like to say, Israelites, well, y'all don't have DNA. How do you know you're for sure from the tribe of Judah? How do you know you're for sure from the tribe of Benjamin? Well, this source says that the Jews in Portuguese, they didn't have an accurate deduction, but they believe in general they was from the southern kingdom, right? Judah, Benjamin, or Levi. So if a brother tells you that, okay, I know I'm descended from the slave trade, but I'm not quite sure, which tribe I'll be because I haven't looked into my history, it's no problem with him saying that, right? Because that's what the Jews at this time, they were saying. In general, we're amongst Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, all right? So let's go to this next source. This next source is called the Source of History in the Pentateuch, right? And we are on page 118. Let's look what it says. Zoom in a little bit. It says, in regard to the human race, it has been shown abundantly and historically that each of the external differences often cease to be characteristic. Thus, the black color is found not only in individuals, as the Black Jews of Portugal, right, but in tribes as the Bakaris on the Red Sea, whose hair and character are perfectly Semitic, right? So, Oh, and also look at the next sentence. I missed this. There are Negroes, says Quatrefages. Now, I probably didn't pronounce that right. Y'all forgive me. Whose prognathism is no more marked than in whites, and whites in whom it is very pronounced, the quality of hair not being an invariable mark. All right. So in this source is comparing them to somebody called the Bacars. We're gonna look into that. And also it says the Black Jews of Portugal. So that goes back to the source, right, that we just read. And I still got another source to show who the Portuguese Jews are. But first, it says, I'm gonna read this part again. Thus, the black color is found not only in individuals as the Black Jews of Portugal, but in tribes as the Bacars in the Red Sea, whose hair and character are perfectly Semitic. So, whoever these Bacars people are, they're saying they're similar to the Black Jews in Portugal, right? They look alike, right? So, I'm gonna show you some. You guys see who the Bacars is? Who is the Bacars? Right? This is a source called Members of the Bakaran Tribe, right? Now look at these people. Now they look similar to black people. They look real similar. I'm not saying these are black people, like as you see in America, but remember it's making a comparison from these people to the Black Jews in Portugal. They saying they look similar, and their hair and their features are perfectly Semitic, right? You got a little description right here. It says the southern section of the eastern desert is inhabited by the Hamitic Beja, right? So these are Hamitic people, right? That look similar to us. And that backs up what the Bible says. Because the Israelites was confused for Hamitic people, right? We know they called Paul the Egyptian. They call Joseph and his family Egyptians. They call Moses Egyptian, right? You even got in the book of Zephaniah. Let me get this real quick. In the book of Zephaniah, let me show you something. Zephaniah 1. Look who Zephaniah is the son of. It says, the word of the Lord which came unto Zephaniah, the son of Cushi. Now, this is an Israelite man, but his name is Cushi, right? Cushi. And it means their blackness, right? The name of two Israelites, Cushi. All right, just wanted to show y'all that real quick. So it's saying that these people look very similar to the Israelites, right? So here goes some more pictures of them. Yeah, I just want to take a look. Now, these really look like sisters. All right. Now, y'all give me one moment. Okay. All right. So I had to pause my video real quick. My apologies, y'all. But yeah, like I was saying, with these group of people, this source is saying that the Black Jews in Portugal has similar features to those people. So what can we conclude about the Black Jews, right? That they would be us. But let's go further into it. Go to my next source. This one is called A New Voyage to Italy. I'm gonna let y'all see the full title real quick. It's a lengthy title. All right. And then we're gonna zoom in. And we're looking at page 139 on the right side. Now, whoever's writing this section, you'll see when I read it, obviously didn't have a good opinion of the Jews. So let's read it. It says, the author of La Roma Santa affirms that the Jews stink and that their noisome smell vanishes after they are baptized. Now, I don't know what this says right here. I'm going to skip this little section. I know not why this should be reckoned wonderful, for those who are to be baptized are to carefully wash and cleanse, that they must needs become sweet, though they really stunk before. But this ridiculous to imagine that the Jews, as being Jews, have a peculiar smell, right? So for some reason, they writing about how the Jews smell, right? Watch this. The Jews at Rome are very poor. Those who are poor are always nasty, and those who are nasty usually stink. This is the mystery. This also a vulgar error, that the Jews are all black. So he's saying this is an error to call all the Jews black. But watch what he says. For this is only true of the Portuguese Jews, right? So again, the Jews of Portugal are being called black. So this was a common thing that people were right about. They're calling the Jews of Portugal black, who marrying always among one another beget children like themselves, right? And it just goes into how they would have children of themselves. They wouldn't intermarry, right? So it says, but the Jews who are originally of Germany, those, for example, have been at, I don't even know what that word says, are not blacker than the rest of their countrymen. So now they're talking about the Jews at Germany, because at this time this is being written, it's already understood that you have now white Jews. And I'm going to get into that, because yes, there's people calling them white Jews at this time, right? So we're going to get into why that is. I'm going to get a scripture real quick, and then get this another source, Luke 21:24. This is Luke 21:24. It says, and they shall fall by the edge of the sword, and shall be led away captive into all nations. And Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles until the time of the Gentiles be fulfilled, right? So we know Jerusalem was going to be trodden down of the Gentiles, which means Gentiles will come into that land. And we know it's possible for a heathen to technically be called a Jew, all right? It doesn't mean they are a Jew. It doesn't mean they're an Israelite. So we're going to get that out the book of Esther. And I want chapter 13. I don't know why it's not doing it. Or do I want 13? My bad, y'all. I got the wrong verse. Esther 8. I don't know why I said 13. So Esther 8. It says, and in every province and in every city, whithersoever the king's commandment and his decree came, the Jews had joy and gladness, a feast and a good day. And many of the people of the land became Jews, for the fear of the Jews fell upon them, right? Now, when you look into this word, let's look into it. You gotta go to became Jews. Became Jews is Yahad, right? Now, Jews is Yehudi. This is the actual descendant. Let's show that in the definition real quick. It says a Judite or descendant of Judah, right? That's an actual descendant Jew. But Yahad is a different word. And this is going to go right along with my next source. It says become Jewish, become Jews, right? Judaize, right? So they were Judaized, right? Because you can't become an Israelite, but you can come Judaize, right? Through our law. So by that time, the white Jews was already calling themselves Jews. That's how they was able to do that, because they was Judaized. Now, like I said, it's going to go right into this source, which is called The Works of Claudius Buchanan. And I want to get page 133. 133, there you go. All right. Zoom in a little bit. What I'm looking for. All right, towards the bottom, it says, the resident Jews are divided into two classes called the Jerusalem Jews or white Jews. Right now, what I just read in Luke, it said that Israel will be trodden down to the Gentiles, right? Which means they're going to be in Jerusalem, taking over Jerusalem. So that's why these white Jews are called the Jerusalem Jews, right? And then it says, and the ancient or black Jews. Now, it's funny because why isn't the white Jews called the ancient Jews? I just read why in the Bible, right? Luke 21:24 and Esther 8, right? They had to become, the white Jews had to become Judaized, right? But the black Jews are the Jews of antiquity. It says the white Jews reside at this place. The black Jews have also a synagogue here, right? So now let's go into the next source. This is something called A Short History of the Copts. So let's go to page 72. 72. There we go. 72. Zoom in a little bit. This one a little bit interesting. It says, the other portion was the whole people of Egypt, who were called Kit and were of mixed descent, among whom one could not distinguish Copt from a Scythian, Nubian, or Israelite, and they were all Jacobites. Now, the interesting thing about this, it said they couldn't distinguish between these people. So first, it says Copt from the Scythian, right? Let's look at something. Now, in this, when I was searching up the Copt people, it was showing me something else at first, right? It was showing more so the current people. But when I looked more into it, I found something that's a little bit older. And this is what it shows about these people and how they look, right? Now, obviously, what do they look like? They look like black people, right? Now, there's some type of African people, right? But they look like our people. If y'all want to pause this and look at this section and read this, it's just saying how the Meyer lexicon is a famous German encyclopedia that was published in various editions. The works was integrated by the dynamic Joseph Meyer, right? And basically, I'm guessing this Joseph Meyer guy was showing you how these Copts look, right? Giving you a description, right? So that's one of the people. Then it said Obsidian. Let's look at that. I just typed in those people and look what pop up. All right. You got African looking people. Now they also said Nubian. We know how the Nubians look. I'm gonna show you something interesting. This is Nubians and Israelites in one photo working next to each other. I got a bunch of ads popping up on the side. But this is the Israelites and Nubians working alongside each other. And you can barely tell the difference. The people that's lighter are only like a shade lighter than the Nubians, right? But they all are dark skinned. And look what it says right here. Slaving away, Nubian and Semitic slaves mix water and mud to create mud bricks, while a seated Egyptian official or Parite oversees their work. This painting comes from Reckmeyer's tomb in Thebes and depicts the process of manufacturing mud bricks. Right? Y'all can pause, look at that. Scroll down. So y'all kind of just skim through that. And it did point out there is a seated Egyptian in the upper right. This will be this man right here. Which, like I said, all these people are only slightly different in shade from each other. It's not much of a big difference when you look at these people as a whole. So countless times in history, you can see the Israelites being compared to other dark races of people, right? And even their hair types, right? And their features too. So, like I said, this will only be part one. I'm gonna have to make another part to this because I have more information on who we call the Jews, Judah, Benjamin, Levi, and then I can actually get into Northern Kingdom, who we consider Northern Kingdom, which would be your indigenous Americans, right? So hopefully y'all got something out that lesson. Just a few quick cuts you can give to people that say, well, there's no history backing y'all up. Y'all not the Israelites. The Israelites don't look like your people. Well, that's not what these historians thought. That's not what these writers thought. They thought we looked like them, right? So, like I said, that was just a few quick cuts. I hope y'all learned something from this. But with that, I'm going to say all praises to the Father in the name of his only begotten Son. Shalom.